Hello viewer, welcome back again to 54A. I'm going to try a little winged dish today. It'll probably go wrong. I'm not very good at these winged things. I've had a couple of attempts at it, but I thought I'd video it anyway. You never know, it might turn out half decent. What I've got is a piece of lime wood, and it's quite a boring wood. You know, grain is very straight, there's no real pattern in it, but I picked it up really cheap. Anyway, what I've done to make it a bit more interesting, I've put this piece of African rosewood in. So I basically cut near enough 3 inches off, added a strip of this black rosewood just under 1 inch, which left me 1.25 inches. The whole thing measures, let me see, a fraction over 5 inches square and about 1.75 inches deep. So I've drilled a little hole ready for my worm screw. I'm going to mount it on the lathe and see what kind of mess I can make of it. So I'll get back to you in a minute when I've mounted it up. There we go, I've got it mounted on my worm screw now using my new little chuck. I've just marked where I want to put the mortise roughly, so I'm going to get on with that and then start sweeping it up. Now then, this is just for the benefit of any new turners really, like myself. When you're turning something like this, you're going to get air. You're going to be turning a lot of air, if you know what I mean. You're only going to be touching the wood every now and again. So you don't want to press too hard, otherwise you're going to get this effect. In, out, in, out. You're going to get catches. It's going to really mess the job up, and you could even hurt yourself, so be careful. The faster you can spin it, the better, because you've got the less chance of the tool actually trying to get through fresh air. If you're going really slow, you're going to get this effect all the time, in, out, in, out, in, out. So spin as fast as you're comfortable with, and very, very gentle strokes. I have learned that much. Don't try and take great chunks off. Doesn't matter how good your tool is, just nice and gentle. So I'll start off with getting a mortise out anyway. Okay, that's the mortise. Just dug it out with the spindle gouge, and then got the angle I need with a skew chisel, so my dovetail jaws can actually grip onto it. I think I'll just go a little bit deeper, and then I'll start sweeping it out. Okay, got it a little bit deeper now. I'm quite happy with that. I'm just going to move the tool rest out a bit and start putting some shape on this. As you can see already, it doesn't take that long. Halfway up already. It's very gentle strokes. Now I'm using like just a scraping cut. You can go the other way, whichever way you feel comfortable with. That's the main thing, and safe. Okay, so keep making sure your tool rest is nice and close to the work as you come round the corners. very nearly up to the points already. So gentle. I'm hardly touching the tool against it, just more or less guiding it. I'm not trying to dig in at all. It just needs smoothing out now, and maybe a bit more shape, take a bit more off there. So I'll just get on with that. That's better. Now I've just got to get the scraper now and go very smoothly to try and get rid of some of these ridges. An expert will have done it with this, but I'm still learning. This lime wood, there's not a lot of pattern in it, but it's really nice to turn, very smooth wood to turn. It's coming on nicely. What you've got to remember is sand the bottom before you turn it round. So I'm going to get on with that now, see if I can sand a bit smoother. And I will be using this. Now I've had this for months and I've never got on with it really. I've had a few goes with it. But especially when you've got wings, you don't want to get your fingers too close. And I watched Martin Smith working with this a couple of weeks ago, and he's convinced me to have another go with it, so I'm gonna try it. Once you get the correct angle with this and it starts spinning, you can hear it buzzing, it goes that fast. You're getting a really good finish with it. So I'm going to carry on with this and then put a bit of sanding sealant, etc. on. I'll probably have to go with the palm sander around these edges, but I'm not going to bother with that until I've turned it round and got the shape that I want. So I'm just going to carry on sanding now and I'll catch up with you later. Right, I've sanded it down to 600 now. I've got some new sanding sealant which I'm going to try. It's the Liberon Spirit Sanding Sealer. I'm going to give it a go. I'm always willing to try new products. It does say you have to leave it a bit longer than the cellulose sanding sealer that I have been using. But, we'll see how it goes. Quite thin, doesn't need thinning down at all, but it spreads really well actually. Yep, that goes on a treat. I'll give it a couple of coats of that, just let it dry and then knock it back with some the very fine wire wool, which I got a couple of weeks ago. Rather than use the Scotch pad, I'll again try something different that a lot of people tend to use, which is this 000000 whatever wire wool. So I'll just let that dry for a few minutes, knock it back with the wire wool, and then give it another coat. Right, I've got it turned round now into the dovetail jaws. So it's the question of starting to hollow it out and hope for the best. It might work, it might not work. There's a couple of knots there, that won't be a problem, but that might be. I don't want to go too thin on this, as it's like the first proper one I've had a go at. So we'll see how it goes anyway. That's coming on quite nicely. So the lime wood seems to turn very nicely. The smell that comes off this African rosewood is absolutely disgusting. It smells like a pigsty basically. But I'll carry on, I can put up with that. Starting to get into the depth of it now. As you can see, it's coming away now nicely. It does help if you've got nice sharp tools, but it needs to carry on, go quite a bit deeper yet. That's coming on quite nicely now. I don't want to take too much off. I don't want to go to a very fine point in case I break the tips off. I will go a bit more. I'll probably leave just a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch if possible. But it's just a question of going very gently. Nice gentle strokes. You can probably see when it's spinning round that you get like a ghosting effect, and which basically means you're turning air. So I want to turn just from there, not out here yet. I want to turn from here to get the thickness, get the depth of the wood out. So I'm going to be turning like the solid shape rather than the ghosting shape for a bit. Starting off, you can see where it's, you can see through it there, and that's solid there. Yep, that's coming on nicely now. I've gone in about 1/2 inch. I've got to go another 1/2 inch yet. I'll carry on with that, won't bore you with it. See you later. Well, I think I've finally got the shape that I want, so I don't want to go any thinner really. I haven't got the confidence to do that just yet, but I'm just going at it with a carbide tip round scraper now, just to get rid of some of these ridges, and hopefully it'll look a lot smoother. That's coming on better now. Just got to concentrate on the wings now. Just get the ridges out the wings, and should be all right. Oh, quite all right. It looks all right anyway. Well, I'll carry on for a bit. Just going very, very, very gently, hardly touching. Very gentle movement. Don't be frightened to keep stopping and starting, checking your work all the time. I'm always doing it. Yes, got quite a bit of work to do on the wings yet. I don't know if that will do it actually. I'll use a wider scraper, I think. It's a nice looking tool. I'll try that. Oh, it's a big improvement. This using a wider edge, get a much smoother cut on the curve. The carbide tip was a bit too small really, so it doesn't need a lot of work now. That's smoothed it out quite well. So I'll get back to you in a bit. I'll just put another couple of little scrapes on it and then try and finish it off. Well, I say that's about as thin as I want to go. I've got a lot of sanding to do on it. There's little bits of chip out appearing on a couple of these edges now, so I've got to be careful there. So I'm doing a lot of sanding with this little palm sander I've got just to round these edges off. That's better. That's smoothed those top edges off. Got rid of the little bits of chipping out. So I'll just carry on sanding the inside with this and by hand, because I don't fancy that spinning round and taking my fingers off. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, I'll give it a coat of sanding sealant now after all the sanding down. It's not perfect, but it's not a bad first attempt at one of these things. This Spirit Sanding Seal Liberon, I'm not too keen on it actually. That's my preference. A lot of people probably find it very useful. I don't particularly like it. It's very, very thin. I prefer the chestnut cellulose one I was using, which is a lot thicker, and you can thin it down to your own consistency then. This is already like water. It soaks in very well and it brings the grain up, you can feel it. But it's not for me. But however, I've got to use it all up now, seeing as I bought it. So for the next few projects I'll be using it. Slapping on as much as I can. Okay, it's just about ready to knock back with the wire wool now. I've got a big wad of this because I don't want to get my fingers too near. In fact, I might end up even putting it on a stick. We'll see. Frightening that is. Nearly there. It's just these wings that are going to be a bit awkward. I might be better off with a Scotch pad because it's going to rip the wire wool to pieces. better. That's better. Give it another coat anyway and another knock back, and then get some polish on it. So I'll see you later. Well, there it is. It hasn't turned out too bad. It's quite a boring piece of wood, but made a lot more interesting with this dark rose, African rosewood in it. I know it's not perfect, but it's the most successful sort of winged bowl dish I've ever made. I think it's only about my second or third attempt. Got the points quite nice. Then maybe I could have gone a bit thinner, but I'm quite satisfied with how that looks. The final buffing I managed to do on the lathe for the centre, and I just had to do the wings by hand, which takes a bit of doing, but still, yeah, I think it's worth it. So there you go, viewer. A little winged dish out of lime and African rosewood. Hope you liked it. Thanks very much for watching. Hope it wasn't too boring for you. And thanks again to all my subscribers. Please leave a comment. I'm always open to suggestions, you know, how I can improve doing this kind of work. But I think basically it's just practice. Practice and confidence. So thanks again anyway. See you soon. Bye now.